Hi, I'm Leslie Maddox, an engineer turned homeschool mom, and I like to talk about the nitty-gritty of homeschooling. Today, the nitty-gritty we'll be talking about is creating signs for your first day or last day of school or homeschool. You may have seen recently I created a freebie, some first day of homeschool signs. I thought it would be nice if I could give you a template so that you can modify the sign however you please. So you could change little elements, change dates, so that you just download this one template and you can use it for this year or coming years, or even for the last day of school. Since the signs I created were for the first day of school, homeschool, you may want signs for the last day as well, so that you can have a little comparison of your little ones on the first day of school and last day of school. This template that I'm going to be showing you is going to be a little bit different than the freebie that I provided to you, because the template uses elements available in Canva. If you're not familiar with Canva, it's an online design, graphic design, basically, platform that you can use for free. I believe there's a pro version which you pay for, and I do have the pro version because I use it a lot, but there's a lot of free elements that you can use as well. So get an account on Canva, canva.com. Go ahead and sign up and get your free account, and then you'll be able to use this template. All right, so here's what you're going to do. This is the design that we're going to work on, and that you'll actually start out with the template that I give you. To get it, click in the link that I'll put in the description box below, and you'll get a page something like this. So to get your free template, you need to subscribe. So put in your first name and your email address and click, and this will subscribe to my email list so that you'll be notified of other freebies that I put out there, and so that you can just stay in touch with me. All right, so once you hit click to download, go to your email and whatever email address that you used here, and look for an email from me, which you'll need to click a button in to confirm that you are subscribing to my email list. Once you hit that confirm button in your email, you will get this document. This document has a link to Canva, to the Canva template that I've created, and along with some other information about the Canva resources I used, as well as additional resources that you can download on other websites. And like for these labels here, they're actually resources that you purchase. And these are some resources that I used in the freebie that I put out there. I couldn't include these in the template because they are resources I purchased from someone else, and I can't just put them out there for you to use for free. So, but if you want to recreate the freebie that I created for you, then the signs that I created, you can download these resources and do that. And I'll show you how to do that. But let's take this step by step. All right, so once you get this, after subscribing to my email list, you'll click here. It says click here for Canva template. And you are going to see this page that says, that shows you the template, and it starts off with those same instructions. And then you can see here we have a couple other pages. There's the template that you've seen, and then this other option, and we'll talk about how to edit that. Down here, there's a use template button. You're going to click that, and that will make a copy of the template that I've created so that you can save it to your Canva account. So you'll need to subscribe. You'll need to sign up for Canva, canva.com, and then you'll be able to use this template. Up here is the title, so you can just click on that and change the title. So maybe you'll want to change it to like to your family name. So for example, I could put here Maddox first day of school signs, and then you change the title, it'll save it to your account, and then you can change it from here on out. All right, so you've signed up, you've confirmed, you've got your Canva account and your Canva template. We've renamed it so that you are sure that you are using your copy of it. Now let's talk about some changes that you might want to make. So this is split up into 3 pages. This first page gives you information about the fonts that I used and links to other resources. This page right here is the sign that was on the sign-up sheet, and here's another option. And so you can see here's page 2 and page 3. Work on one page at a time, and let's talk about some changes you might make here. So for example, a change you might want to make is up here where I say first day of homeschool. Maybe you don't homeschool. Maybe you just want to say first day of school. So you just click in that text box and change your text. You may even want to, considering the times that we're living in, you may want to change it to something like first day of distance learning. You can change it to whatever you want, or just delete it altogether if you don't want that in there at all. Another text change you might want to make is the date. So right now we're starting the 2020-2021 school year, but if this is next year, for example, you can change it to 2021-22. Or something else you might want to do is just put the date of your first day of school. So we're starting school. We started school on August 24, 2020. All right. So you can see that this is now not fitting into that little ribbon that I put there. If I want to keep that little ribbon, I can just click up here to the font size, and we'll start off at 40. So let's put it on 32 and see how it is. And you can even just grab that little circle in the corner and make it smaller like this. See, I like Canva where it shows you kind of how centered this is. It's when it's the little dash lines, that's telling you it's centered to that object. When you have the solid, it's centered to the whole thing. Or what I do just to make sure is I click on the position button, and here, this center button, it's grayed out because it's already centered, but that centers it horizontally. This middle button centers it vertically, so we don't want to use that one here. You want to click the center button to center it horizontally. So those are a couple of things that you might want to change. Let's see what else. You can also change the font. Maybe you don't enjoy the fonts that I've chosen. So you see here, I've chosen this playlist script for here, this part, glacial indifference for these elements here. You may want this to be, maybe you want to keep it with a glacial indifference. Maybe you find that hard to read and you don't like that. Maybe what doesn't show up very nicely in pictures. So you can change the font, and whenever you change the font, you're going to have some sizing differences. So I'm going to make that a little bit smaller, click my center button. So maybe you just want something like that. You could play around with some other fonts, so let me show you how you do that. I'm going to click this add new page button, just so I have a blank area to work with. And over here on the left, if you click the text button, you can see here ideas for text design, basically, where you have different fonts combined. And this gives you a good idea of what fonts go well together. Fonts that are available here on Canva. You can go and Google font pairings, but if you want just what's available here on Canva, you can look through here and see some pairings that you like. So for example, maybe you like that one. So you can look, see, okay, this is glacial indifference, the one I used. This one's homemade apple. So maybe that's a fun one that you like. Let me delete that. Let's look at some other ones. Maybe you like this one. So you can look, this is Playfair Display, and this is Rosario. So then you can maybe use that here. Look at, what if we change this to Rosario? Rosario, one of those. You can click up here and change that. Maybe you want to change this, Playfair Display. So you see how you can change the fonts. I'm going to hit Command Z. I'm on Mac, so I guess on PC will be Control Z just to undo the changes that I made. Another way you can find interesting font is maybe here, maybe you didn't like the script one that I chose, so you can click on there on that text box that you want to change. Click up here in the font, and then here, see how they give you options for something to search for. So you can look at other handwriting fonts and, you know, choose one of them maybe. Or maybe you can write something like cursive, and they'll give you some other cursive fonts that you can play around with. So you can really go down the rabbit hole and change a lot of different things here. So I'm just gonna undo all that and go back to the one I had. All right, so you can change font. You can also change some elements. So over here, if you look to the left, there's an elements button, and that's where you get all your little boxes and these ribbons and lines and different things, and you can search for stuff here. Now notice this is Search Elements Pro because I have the Pro version. You can click here to the right to this filter and choose the free stuff, just so it shows you the stuff that's free. And then also I would choose static, so you don't have, since this is something you're going to print out, you don't want things jumping around. You don't care about those elements. You just want the static elements. I put up here elements that I use. So you see here this fancy label. You can even search for fancy label here to find some different labels. This is showing you the stuff that's static and free. And so here, I think this is the same one. So if we go back to this, yeah, let me go back and create a blank canvas. I can just click on that and put it here, or I could have copied this one. If I hit Command C or Control C, come back here, and you see it, and then you can resize it if you don't want to look for it. Now, the way I got it to look outlined is I just copied it, duplicated it. So I click on this element. See this button right here says duplicate. So I've got two of them, and then I made one smaller and then changed the color. You can change the color up to the left. And if you center these together, position, and if you click middle center, it's already centered. Here you have this outline look, and if you click on the outer one, you can change the color. So I had changed it to black because I like that minimalist look. If you want yours to be more colorful, so that's a way you can update the template I gave you and make it more colorful if that's something you like. Maybe you color code your kids. So like my oldest, his color is green, so I could have made his green, and then another child's red, another child's blue, or just use their favorite colors to make them more willing to stand and use this sign as a prop for the first day of school pictures. Another thing I like about nesting these elements together is that you can make that border look as wide or thick as you want. So if you click on the smaller inset one, you can have a thick border, or you can have a thin border. I can just center, middle, change this to middle, so that they're together. I can make it even smaller. If I drag out, if I click, left click and drag to touch those elements, it chooses them. So I can choose middle, center, make it a really thin border. Even make it a little thinner, position, center, middle. So you see how you have some options there. So you can change that. Maybe you don't like that label look I have, and you can choose a different one and use the same process I used. This is a pretty fancy one. Or maybe you just want a rectangle. So rectangle, you can just search for rectangle, and some of these already have, I'll delete that. You don't even have to do that inset thing. It's already just looks like a frame, and you can change the height or the width to how you want it. You can change the color to whatever you want. Maybe you want this pink, and use that to put your words into. Maybe you want to change the ribbon. You can search for ribbon, and there's different ribbon options here. So there's this one, looks kind of scrolly. There's this one with like a starburst. You can resize. So you got options for how you want this to look. This little line, there's so many options for this line. I put here another option. You could just copy that, Command C. I'm going to click on this page so it puts it here. So you see it's right here and it's really little, so I'm going to make it bigger. Can delete that one, and maybe you want to use that instead. And resize that, position center. That looks, I kind of like the way that one looks. Or you could just do a straight line. You really like a minimalist look. So here you have a straight line. Resize it, change the color, delete that one. So you can change the look of your printable with just these simple edits. I'm going to arrow down, move that down a little bit. Simple edits, you can really change the look of this and customize it. Let's see, once you're done with the basic design, and we're going to talk about this where it says preschool in a minute, I would just leave that at first. Change the fonts, change the elements, have the printable with the basic design that you want. Drag outside here, select everything, make sure it's centered, and if you want to center it within the page as well, you can group them so it treats it as one. That's just one big picture. Center it, middle, and then you can always ungroup it. So now I'm going to ungroup this. Everything's centered, everything's in the middle. You have the design elements that you want. All right, so at this point is where I would say you would update this part here where it says preschool to whatever text you want. Maybe you don't want to say preschool. Maybe you want to say pre-K. Maybe you have a pre-K student. Maybe you also have a toddler who wants to hold up the little sign and be part of the picture. So what you can do is you would copy this, and you may even, before you make any changes to your design, you may want to copy the initial one. See right here where it says duplicate page. You may want to copy the initial template I give you and then select it all and click this lock button so you don't change it. You can always go back to what you started off with and change from there. If you click the lock, then you can't make any changes, can't move things around. Let's just work on this other one here. So going back to changing the pre-K. Maybe you have a pre-K student, maybe you have a toddler, so you could put taught school here. Maybe you have a high school student, and so you can change this to like 12th grade, or I liked what I put in the freebie was the wording senior year. So you can duplicate this page and create a new one for each student that you have. And then at this point, you may want to change the design a little bit more. I like having this hello and then the wording under here to somewhat match each other in length. I'm not going to try that with pre-K because the difference is just too great. But let me unlock this. But I do want that font to be bigger to fit in a little bit more. So you can just change the font here. So it fills up that space a little bit more. If you keep the text in this text box centered and then center this here, you'll always have it centered. So keep this centered. If you click on this, it changes it. So left justify, right, center. Another trick you can use is you can change the spacing of the text. So if you click on this taught school one, for example, and up here, this spacing button. You see with the little arrows, you click on that. That allows you to change the spacing between lines. So this is if you have multiple lines in this area, it changes the space between the lines and also the spacing between letters. So I can increase the spacing or decrease it a little bit so that the width of hello more closely matches the width of taught school. And make sure that's centered. Maybe senior year, you want to do the same thing, change the spacing a little bit of the letters. You can also change these from all caps to both caps and uppercase letters depending on what you type in. Here's this other little button. It says uppercase. Click on that. I had it clicked so it showed up all caps, but if, you know, maybe that doesn't float your boat. Maybe you'd rather have this type of look. So then you can change the spacing of this to match the width of that. Maybe you want this one to be all caps. Well, in that case, then this is a little bit big, so we could change it to 144. You can also type in here a size. Let's see. There we go. So you can just type in a size right there. Make sure it's center, position, center. So there's some options for how you can make this just look nice and centered and cohesive and all of that. So that's the way that you can change that sign. I'm going to delete this one, hit this little trash button. I have another option here for a sign. In this option, this kind of sign you could use, you could print it out on cardstock and cut out around the edges and maybe put it on a stick or a popsicle stick. You know, sometimes kids find something like that easier to hold. For this type of sign, you could print it out on cardstock and they just hold it. Or what I did is I put signs in just the white frames that we had here in the house. This is the size this is. I've designed this to be an 8x10, but when I'll show you in a few minutes, when we save it to a PDF, you can just print out 8.5x11 paper and then cut it down. Use a paper trimmer or scissors, cut it down so you can put it in a frame, and that's a little bit easier for the little ones to hold. But even easier to hold would be something like a popsicle stick where they just hold one thing instead of both sides, because sometimes they feel awkward about that in the pictures. What I use for this, you can see this element up here. See this little, let me make it bigger. This is how it looks like there. If you go to elements to the side, you'll see these frames. Let's choose static and free so you can see what's available there, and there's some really cool looking frames. And if you're familiar with working with something like Photoshop, these are basically clipping masks. Let me again create a new page, blank page. If you put something like this here, then you can take a picture. Let's go to photos and pick, you know, a school picture. Since we're talking about school, let's pick students. You can take, this is a pro picture, but this is just for purpose of example. You can just click on it and it puts it there, or you can drag it, go to this frame, and it clips everything outside of that frame. You can double click on it so you can move it within here, and see, it gives you a really cool little look. What I did is I used this frame and then I went to photos and looked for a chalkboard. So you're in photos, go to chalkboard. So you can take maybe something like this one, and then you have that chalkboard look. You can move it around, you can resize it to however you want. Maybe you like this part better. And then you can resize this whole thing and then overlay that with some text elements. And that's what I did here. I used the School Bell font. That's a fun kind of kiddish font. I kept the glacial indifference here. For the other elements, you see this cute little line. So you can really change things up a lot with just some simple changes. So I put up here that recommendation for the school bell font. Another one that I thought was cute included in Canva is this apple juice. That's another cute font. Let's make that a little bit smaller. Very kiddish type font. And I included that here so that you can just go back to this and see which one I recommended. So that's another option for this chalkboard background. You can also find some fun elements. So for example, you can find sketch, search for sketch, and find some things that'll look really cool here. So like, let's say you want to do sketch girl. See, I saw a really cute one a while ago. I think hand drawn is something to look forward to. Hand drawn. And it gives you some fun little stars. I kind of like that. I wonder if it was not free, the one I'm looking for. So if I go back and sketch girl, yeah, maybe that's what it was. So you see you have this cute little girl. So this is a pro sketch, and it's, you know, not very expensive, so you may want to upgrade to pro. Have something cute like that here. I'm gonna delete the start. I want to move this stuff around so I can fit my little girl in here. So what I'm gonna do is I want this frame to stay the same. So I'm going to click on that, choose the lock button so that when I select this stuff, it doesn't move around. I'm gonna move all this stuff up a little bit. Arrow up. Maybe I want the little girl here. Maybe what I want to do is just have this in the background instead of that frame. So let's say I delete that frame. Let me unlock it, delete the frame. I deleted the chalk in there, so it left me with a frame. I'm gonna make this bigger, so let's change the sizing of this so it's a little smaller. So I'm gonna make this bigger. And then position, I'm gonna go backward, or I'm gonna send it to the back so all this stuff shows up in front. And then I can, you know, even do like a speech bubble here. Let's go to elements. Sketch, speech. Maybe I want to do something like this. Change the color so I have like white and then kind of a gray. Can make that really big. And then I'm going to send that to the back. Then I'm going to have this little girl like she's saying this. Move this to the side. Make this a little bit bigger. To the right. This little girl here. Maybe I want to lock this so I can select the stuff in the middle. Delete this line because it's just too much happening here. Maybe I just, let's move this as well. Put all these things in here. Hello, preschool. Okay, so I'm going to unlock this, make it a little bit smaller now. Lock it again. Move the text down. Have my little first day of homeschool thing. Unlock this again. Move all this down. Have little girl, make her bigger. And change all this up a little bit. Maybe I can put this in here. I'm gonna center all these things, center. Okay. Oops. I'm gonna lock that again. Center all this text. Make sure it's centered. Here we go. All right. And so you have a completely different design with a few little changes. All right. So once you decide on how you want things to look and you've duplicated the page that you want, and maybe you even want to duplicate these and have a last day of homeschool option. So beginning of the year, you do your first day of homeschool signs and then also your last day so that they're ready to go when you want to take your last day of school pictures. So once you've done all that, go to download, and let me move this to the side. Go to download, and here where it says file type, choose PDF print. This, I think, is the only high quality version of these designs that you're gonna be able to download. So always download PDF print, and you have the option, you can have it download all of these here and it'll make one big document, or you can do individual pages. Maybe you just want page 2. Doesn't really matter because you can always just print out the pages that you want. So let's just say it saves all of them. You click done, download, prepare your designs, getting things all ready to go, download. So you go to your download section, and here we go. This is just everything is the way it was. It downloaded one document. See, it named it what you named it in Canva. So Maddox first day of school signs. And it saved everything here. So then you can go through and select to print which ones you want. Print. If you're going to print on 8.5 by 11, I would say print actual size, which should be the 8 by 10 is the design size. And then just print the pages you want. So let's say you just want to print, 2 of them. You can do print pages. So this is 4 and 5. 4 and 5. You want it to look really nice. Make sure that your quality is best. Normal is probably fine for black and white, but if you're going to have a lot of design elements and some color and all, you may want to have best so that you have a really sharp image that pops in your picture. So you can do that. Make sure it's not printing on both sides of the paper. So you have just one for each, and you have here a little preview of what it'll look like in hit prints. And then I'll put a picture in here of our signs, kind of what they look like when we took pictures with them. If you want signs to look the way we did ours, the other thing you can do, let me go back to Canva, is you can upload your own images. So I put here the links to some fonts like these are on Teachers Pay Teachers, and labels I used. So you can go select the labels I used in our signs in the freebie bundle that I have available for you. I got those labels from designbundles.net. You do have to purchase them. It's a couple of bucks. And they're fun labels because they have a little bit of a shadow look, and I think they're a pretty shape. The shadow does affect how you center and all, so I had to do just some eyeballing to get it centered the way I wanted to, but I thought they looked really nice. The other thing about uploading your own design elements is that you can't do things like in Photoshop. You'd be able to change some colors and all, but you can't, that I know of, you can't do that here. Like I was able to change the color of this border of these elements. Well, when you upload your own designs, you're not going to be able to do that. So to upload them, what you do is you go here to the left where it says uploads, upload an image or video and device, and then you click to wherever you have those saved on your hard drive. And then I'll show you, like, here's some elements that I've that I've purchased and used, and that are some real pretty shapes. So then you just click on it here to upload them, and then you click on them, and what happened here? Let me delete this one. And you can rotate and move them around. You can do the same things you do the others where you center them. You can resize, but I'm not going to be able to change like the color of that border. You see what I mean? So, but that way you could get exactly what you want. You know, I like this chevron look here. When you get something that you purchase online, you're going to get a little different quality and a little more professional looking than using the stuff that's available for free, because, you know, these are people who work to make money this way, and they deserve to be paid for their work. So you're going to get some more professional looking elements this way. And so I've done that. I purchased stuff online and uploaded several different things. I think this is the ones I used in the freebie. Like one of these, let me just click on it. So you see how this has this this little shadow look, which I think it looks really cool. Position that in the middle, in the center, and then overlay your text here. Let's say I click on this, and then let's see if I click on Shift, is it? Or Command? Okay, click on Shift and can select several things. Command C. So on PC it should be Control C, and see, I just changed that one element, the one I purchased. Put this here. Maybe I want to bring this down. This was a Canva element here I used. Everything else was Canva. The one difference is that label. Can make it even bigger. Position, center, middle. Lock it into place. Select these other elements. Kind of center them here. Eyeball it a little bit since we have this shadow that we're working with that affects the centering. And so you have a cute little sign right there. And so see how this label looks, I think, much cuter than this one that's available on free for Canva. And it was like $2 or $3 for the whole thing. These are nice to use for like binder covers, labels on binder covers. You could use them for your pantry or just anything. So I think they're worth the $2 or $3 to purchase, and because then you can use them not just on this sign or a sign like this, but in other ways in your homeschool or in your home. All right, so upload your own elements. You can even, I'd recommend some fonts here that you can get from Teachers Pay Teachers. You can use those for personal use for free, and I really love her fonts. So if you go here where you have some text, click. So it shows you the list of all the available fonts. There's an upload font button, so you can click on that so you can purchase nice fonts online and then upload them to use here in Canva, and then you can have whatever look you want. That's, I think, especially helpful. I mean, Canva's got a lot of nice fonts, but where I like to upload a font is if I'm doing, let's say, a worksheet or something for my kids. I'm real picky about the fonts that I use. I want it to be something that a preschooler or kindergartner can understand the letters, and that the letters look the way that they're being taught to write them. And so Kimberly Guesswine, this one right here, she's got some nice learning fonts for teachers. So that's where I would do that. Otherwise, I think that the stuff you get on Canva is like good enough, to use in your home. All right, so you've seen there's several options for how to use the template I gave you to change it up just a little to get the look that you want, how to change it up a lot to get a totally different look, how to upload your own elements so that you can get a more professional looking look, and then how to download them and print them. I hope this was helpful to you. I really want to be able to enable you to do whatever you want in your homeschooling, and how to create things on your own. And so that's why I wanted to create this template for you. I have some ideas for other templates to put out for you, where it just gives you a really good starting place, and you make some little tweaks and changes to customize it for your homeschool. So maybe it's like workbox labels and binder covers. It's nice to have a place to start, so you don't have to start from scratch. So I'm thinking about putting some stuff out like that. Let me know if that interests you and how you like this template. And I would love to hear from you. Comment below what else I can provide for you to be helpful to you, because I really want to be helpful to you. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.